Welcome to the Dialed In Podcast. I'm your host, the official CRG, and today we're going to talk about resistance as a whole and how it can take control of us without even knowing. I want to start by saying thank you to everybody. The support we're getting is amazing, and I just couldn't be happier. But today I want to talk about resistance, and how it takes control of you and I every single day. I've been reading this book called The War of Art by Steven Pressfield. I suggest it to everybody, even if you don't read. It's a great first book to read. Basically talks about resistance and discipline and how it comes in many forms like procrastination. You find it in failure, success, bad days, good days. No matter what, you'll find resistance. And mentally it takes a toll on you, but you can beat it, as long as you program your mind to be as solid as a rock and just don't let anything get to it. You can, have good days. Obviously there will be bad days, but majority of your days will be positive and good as long as you fortify your mind into a strong, well-being person that, deep down you've always wanted to be. Um, he also he kind of talks about this voice in your head, right? Unless him and I are crazy, we all have this little voice in our head that basically tells us we can do certain things, or we can't, or that pitches us ideas or gives us a certain emotion that we start to express physically, you know and that voice pitches the resistance. That's the one that really gives us the resistance, and if you can beat that and you can overcome that voice, you can overcome anything. Physically, what people say, yes, it can hurt you, but as long, it's just words at the end of the day. Like, yes, it can take a toll, but if you fortify yourself mentally to where somebody just says something to you and it just bounces off, it doesn't matter, it doesn't affect your day. You can still walk and have a smile on your face and enjoy the beautiful weather, enjoy where you are, enjoy where you live. You're beating resistance, and that's amazing. And I advocate it for everybody. We all need to beat resistance, and we all deal with it every single day. It's literally all a mental game. The hardest thing is consistency too. Like, to stay consistent is one of the hardest things we can do. No matter what it is, working out, writing notes, you're in class, or you're a musician and you're trying to write lyrics. Staying consistent is the hardest thing. Going to the gym and making sure you push 225 pounds on a deadlift 10 times, 3 days a week can be really, really hard. And, that's you facing resistance. But I guarantee when you do it and you finish that goal, you feel amazing and you get stronger by it each and every day. This book really just taught me about just no excuses, no matter what, just get off your ass, just there's really no excuses in the world. If you're sick, still get up and do it. There's no reason you can't work out. There's no reason you can't take a couple of notes in bed. There's no reason, you can't get out of bed and do 10, 15 push-ups just to get your body going. Not saying you need to go do a full-blown workout, deadlifts and treadmill and all that. But there is no excuse, right? There is no excuse you shouldn't be able to take a shower if you're at a nice house with water. There's no excuse you shouldn't be able to brush your teeth if you have a toothbrush and toothpaste in your sink. Like, there is no excuse for anything. So if you can kill the excuse and kill the resistance, you will be positive each and every day. You will find success. I mean, you will be a better person. I promise you, it will start to affect you in a very positive way, and you'll shine like you need to be. You'll be the human you need to be, the person you've always wanted to be. And going into this, I will say I asked my friend if I could talk about this, and she said I could. But I thought this was a great, example of resistance. This isn't going to be a super long podcast, just so you guys know. It's going to be a really short episode. I got a busy week, got a lot of things going on, but that's, again, no excuses. It might be a short episode, but we're pushing it out. We're making sure we get you guys the content you need and make sure, we spread motivation and happiness no matter what. But going back, I asked my friend if I could bring this up, and she said it was fine. But, she was going through a situation for a couple months to basically, she was really upset. She's really depressed, really lonely, and she just wanted somebody. She just wanted love. And, she's in college, so she's dealing with something. And, she's finding these guys, and she's a good looking girl. She has no problem talking to guys. But the problem is she's finding these guys, and all these guys want is sex, right? Or they just want to talk to her and keep her on the side so they have their main chick. And she's probably had like 3 or 4 guys that she's been really into that have like fucked her over, you know, said they even loved her and then the next day ghosted her, or they cheated on her with their ex, you know, just crazy shit. And you know, she texted me and then we FaceTimed, and she was just crying. She was like, I don't understand what's going on. And I was like, well, how do you feel deep down? She's like, well, I hate myself, you know, I don't love myself. And I said, well, there it is. I said, you're trying to you're basically trying to build a heart with one broken piece. I mean, you can't have two hearts come together. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, you can't have one side of the heart be perfectly fine and one side of the heart be broken and have it come together and be whole. That's not how it works. They both need to be beating. They both need to be whole. They both need to be full of energy and positivity to work as a healthy relationship. And I told her that. And she was like, you know what, you're right, that, you know, it does make sense. And, you know, that was her own resistance, right? You know, she was fighting her own resistance. You know, these toxic boys would tell her she wasn't good enough or she was ugly. Or, you know, I think one guy even told her she was fat. Like, you know, hearing that shit as her best friend also, just saying, those boys are lucky. Those boys are lucky I live so far away. But, you know, hearing that, you know, it was so hard for me because I couldn't do anything physically. You know, I couldn't help her. I couldn't hold her. I couldn't make sure she was okay. So all I could do was just pitch her insight and kind of walk her through it. And, you know, I kind of told her, you know, that is her own resistance, right? Like, those boys made you feel a certain way and you started to believe it. But, you know, recently she found herself, right? Like, she's positive now. She knows she's beautiful. She walks around with a smile on her face. And whenever anybody says anything to her, it just bounces off of her, right? And that's because she killed the resistance. She killed the negativity, and she just took care of herself first and just made sure that she was a positive, healthy person before she tried to get into anybody's life or bring anybody into her life. So if you're going through that situation and deep down, you know, you're constantly ignoring the fact that you're not happy or you don't like the way you look in the mirror, you know, you can change it. You can do something about it. You can change your diet. You can go to the gym. You know, like, you can better yourself. You just have to kill the resistance and stop the excuses. So like I said, you know, this is going to be a really quick podcast. I've had a really busy week. There's no excuses. We push it out for you guys. But, you know, I leave it with a quote every single episode. So this quote, again, is by 365 Mentality. You know, I appreciate everybody for tuning in. You guys can follow them on Instagram. You know, they have great quotes. They post daily. This one is a pretty big quote. It's not something I really even need to explain too much. With all being said, we'll get into it. One thing I've realized is things always end up working out. So sometimes even better than we imagine. Remember that when you're in a hard place or feel like you're being challenged, believe in where you're headed. See the bigger picture. The reason why I chose this quote, and I'm not going to lie to you guys, maybe 5 days ago, I was in my head. You know, I moved to a new place. You know, I still don't have a lot of friends. You know, I'm working a job, 9 to 5. So, you know, it's a lot for me. I'm editing, trying to get these podcasts out. And I was in a really hard place. And I saw this quote, and this quote gave me so much motivation. It told me that no matter where I am, you know, I know it's going to be hard. But like it says, you know, and you feel like you're being challenged, just believe in where you're headed. Like, I know right now I'm being challenged. I know I'm going through all these, you know, things. I'm having all these things run through my mind. But as long as I stay consistent and I keep pushing forward, it will, you know, it will turn out. You know, the success will come, the positivity will come, and I will, you know, be so happy that I did it. So, you know, just keep pushing no matter what you're going through. Stay consistent. You know, I appreciate all you guys. For real, you can find us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. You know, with that all being said, you guys are listening to the Out In Podcast.